Hello and welcome to this tutorial on map, reduce, and filter. So we're going to go into a little bit of detail about what these actually do. So map performs an action on each item of an array. Reduce will perform an action on a collector and every item, which will condense into one value. Filter returns items in an array that match a certain condition. So why do we use these? Well, iterating over arrays and manipulating them is very important. Let's say we have a bunch of movie reviews. How can we find all the reviews above a certain rating? How can we find only the titles? How could we adjust some of the ratings or some of the titles? Well, we're going to find out. So I have linked is this movie array full of different movie objects, and the first thing we're going to do is just going to do a map over it. So let's say I just wanted the titles. So what I would do is I would call movies, which is my array, .map. I would provide to it a function, and in this function it's going to pass in every movie, and from that I want to return, so I want to get just the titles, so I have a reference. So what this does, imagine movies and I'm doing a map. So map is going to call this object, then this object, then this one, then this one. So they all have the key of title, and that's the only thing I want to return. Map will return an array with these titles if I specify movie.title. And let's get this checked out. Alright, so this is a list of all the titles. Let's say that I wanted to just have the titles and the ratings without the reviews. Well, I can return an object that says title is a movie title and rating is movie rating. And so what this will do is this is going to take away the review and then just provide the rating. So another thing to note, this is not actually affecting the movies array, so I'm going to output right here next to it. The movie array stays the same. It's going to be returning a different array. So we see here this is the start, so this is titles, and this is the movies array. So the movies array was fine. It didn't actually get stripped out, but what it returns is this new array. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is find out specific movies of, or I'm going to say here is rating, good rating. So we're going to say movies, and so what we want to do is we want to filter out the movies with the best ratings. So in this case we're going to be using filter. Then we provide a function. Inside this function is going to be every movie, and so what filter does is it does a check whether something or not is true. So we're going to be doing a check on the rating. So as it goes through each one of these objects, we're going to be looking at this rating to see whether or not it's greater than a specific number. So in this case we're going to return movie.rating is greater than or equal to 3.5. And then we're just going to output that. Alright, so we got good movie and pretty good and really good and so-so. So let's just verify that this is right. So we see good movie is rating 5. So which ones got left out? Not great, because the rating was not greater than 3.5. Awful was not there either, but we got so-so because it was greater than 3.5. So what this does is as I said before, is a conditional check on each object, whether or not to return the object. In this case, we have all the good ratings, and what we can do is we can actually strip down and just get the titles by doing a map on these items. So these are movie, and we just want to return movie.title. Alright, so these are the titles of the movies that are greater than 3.5. So what I did was, with this filter, we got a reduced set, or reduced array, pass that to the map. So for every item of that array, we just grab out the title, and then it returns to good rating. Next thing we're going to do is use the reduce. So we're going to get the average rating. And so the way reduce works is you have an accumulator along with a current index. So what this is going to do is going to store our value over time. So we're going to have movies.reduce. In this function, we're going to have our accumulator, we'll have our values, we have an index, and we have our array. So what we're going to do is I'm going to console log out the accumulator along with our value.rating, so the ratings as we go by. So what this is going to do is we're going to add all the ratings together. So the first thing we're just going to do is return accumulator plus value.rating. So that's going to add them all together. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have an if statement. We're going to say if our index, which is kind of like our counter, is going to be an array.length minus 1 because of the 0 index. What we're going to do, this is say we're at the end. So if our index is at the end, then we're going to return our accumulator plus our value.rating divided by the array.length. And all this is taking the sum divided by the amount of items. So let's look at this. Alright, so why did this happen? Well, the thing with reduce is that if you don't provide an initial starting value, what it'll do is it'll grab the first object. And in this case, since it is an object, then it's trying to add it to a rating, which doesn't work out. So we're going to provide our initial value as 0, and then we're going to rerun this. Alright, so let's look at the value, the rating, along with the accumulator. So first thing we did, good movie was 5. Alright, so we added that to 5. Went to pretty good, which is 4.5. Then went to 9.5. Went to not great, that was 2. 11.5. Went to 1, that's 12.5. Went to 4.6, 3.6, 4.6, 3.6, added that together. And then we divided by the amount that it was. So we can say our average was 3.45 stars on the movie, which is, it's not too bad. It doesn't really reach our 3.5 and above for good rating, but it does work out. That was an introduction into the map, filter, and reduce functions that you can do on arrays.